$200 Explorer. It's quite the story getting it home. I went an hour away to tow it home with my buddy, and the idler seized up on his truck, so we had to take the idler off of this so he could get his truck to come back. So I had to cut the belt and get it, take the idler off. When we got there to buy it, it had no fuses in it. They thought they were scrapping it, so they stole all the fuses. So they had to go find the fuses, so I had the tow bar all hooked up before they got back with the fuses. This rear parking brake seize spent another hour trying to get that undone. After we put all the fuses in, I still couldn't get the dash lights to power up. Like, it had all kinds of interior power. All of the lights inside would turn on. But, and even like the puddle lights worked. It is limited. It's a 2002. And it has the 4.6. Now, we do rest here. If you're watching this from the States, this is one of the horrible places for rest. And I was told that the truck was too rotten to use. But I've been under it, and the factory paint's still on the frame. So, it's in 50 times better shape than I was expecting. I mean, the rockers are gone, side steps rotted off it, but that's normal. And it's just this side that the rockers are bad. It had a rat's nest, and after we put all the fuses in, we still couldn't get the dash to power up. So I traced out all the fuses. Turns out this fuse here that looks good is bad. And I got all the dash lights to light up, and then I couldn't get it to turn over. So I wound up finding out that it was a starter after testing the power. It had power. It was getting 12 volts to the solenoid when you turn the key to the start. So it had power, all kinds of power. But that was yesterday, and yesterday was Sunday. So I had no brushes or anything I couldn't go get new brushes for the starter and a new solenoid. But managed to scavenge the parts for that starter off of an F-150 starter. And then I got it cranking over last night. Here it is, 7:30 in the morning. Got to go to work at 10:30. And when it got cranking over, found out it had no fuel. I then promptly killed the battery, which I had to go charge. Because I figured it was just all filled full of dirt and crud, and then it would just fire right up. So I just kept cranking her. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to do this morning is I get some ether. I'm going to try, just give it a little shot, see if it should fire right up. Hope. I know I got no fuel. When I attempt to bleed the fuel rail, no fuel comes out. And it sat for 6 years, according to the previous owner. Whether or not it actually sat for 6 years, I mean, they said that it sat for 6 years, sat for 3 years in one spot, and then 3 years in another spot. And it was parked because an inspection station told them it was rotten. And on top of that, the trans is slipping. The top gears, 4th and 5th. So I might be able to get it to not slip, because it might be just the servo. You can get the servo rebuild kit for $100. So that's providing it is in as good a shape as I think it is, and I can get it running. Yes, I know ether's not good for it, but I want to hear it run before I start investigating the fuel pump. Had the ignition column replaced, so it has 2 keys, one for the door, one for the ignition. Look at that, she fired. It was only on 1 or 2 cylinders, but another healthy dose of ether. Oh, she fired. She fired right up. If you can't get fuel, make the air flammable. I guess that's it for now. I will, oh look, the ether's frosted. I'm gonna check the inertia switch, see if we might have tripped that towing it with the tow bar, where the truck had power at the time and it might have been trying to kick in the fuel pump, so. And if that don't work, then I'm gonna cut a hole in the floor right here underneath the seat and see if I can't get access to the fuel pump, or wherever the fuel pump seems to be. It's got the third row, so there's a whole big write-up on an Explorer forum where to cut the hole to get access to the fuel pump instead of dropping the tank. These things have a 22-gallon tank, and it's sat for 6 years on grass. I don't really want to touch those bolts, so it's going to be easier just to cut a hole in the floor. Then I can get a fuel pump up at the local junkyard for next to nothing, and just cut a hole in the floor up there to get that one. Which I plan on going up there anyways, because there's another Explorer up there that my buddy built with 2-inch strut spacers. So if I do get it running and I do decide to drive it, it's going to get those strut spacers. And it didn't sound so healthy running on that ether, but she fired up. That's all that matters. Ether's not the best for an engine.